Hi, I'm John Nichols. I'm president of the Tutors Association and also co-founder of the e-learning company Get My Grades. I've been president of the Tutors Association now. This is in my 4th year. It's been an interesting couple of years, as you might imagine. Everyone in the world has probably noticed. But I'm delighted to be here at the Pencil Spaces Tutoring Roundtables. There's a lot of challenges in the education system at the moment. I think everyone can come up with a list of problems in the education system as long as your arm. People often come up with the big broad brush challenges like, oh, AI is coming, people have got all this access to information, so they still need to memorize stuff. Is the education system fit for purpose if so many children can't engage with school? Is the curriculum correct? Is there a role for online schooling to a greater extent? Is there a role for tutoring to a greater extent? All of these are really valid problems and considerations. I think what's useful to bear in mind though is that some of the cliche approaches to these, they lack nuance and they lack an understanding of the real world. So one of the things I often try to explain to people is, yes, AI will change things. Yes, there is a place for online schooling and tutoring. Yes, there are problems with the curriculum, but nothing that is really good becomes really good on day one after a huge switch and overhaul. There are good things about the existing system as well, which we need to be careful not to try and lose at the same time as making changes. So one of the things that I think is really important to recognize is AI is not going to replace teachers. In the same way that when people invented saws and axes, it didn't replace carpenters. You just give new tools to people who then can learn how to use those tools in a different way. So the one message I have for tutors and teachers out there is your job has never been more important and it's never going away. Some of the other problems are around curriculum and around the structure of the traditional schooling system. And again, there are really valid ways for why the schooling system has ended up how it is. It is an efficient model in terms of cost effectiveness to be able to have lots of students in one place and to deliver a standardized course that teachers can be trained to deliver. That is not necessarily a broken model on its own. Of course, there is a huge space there for the people that can't quite fit into that system in the way in which it's normally set up. But we should bear in mind that the system on its own isn't bad for everybody, right? And there's some good things and good reasons why that system is set up in the first place. So we should still be looking for things in our educational system like rigor. Academic rigor is still going to be very important, and it's going to be very important going forwards. We should still be looking for things like understanding systems, understanding norms and rules and boundaries. For children, these things are very important. And just because a child maybe isn't suited to a traditional schooling environment so much does not mean that they don't need any boundaries anymore. They need boundaries more than ever before. And also we should bear in mind that students in traditional schooling systems, they can be in a traditional schooling system and we can tweak it around the edges to make it better, and we can add in additional support, and then we can make those bigger changes for those students for whom it's really necessary, where there's an existing failing in the system. They may be neurodiverse students that need a substantial additional intervention. They may be school refusers for some reason. There's many reasons out there why some students don't go to school. And for those students is where we can bring innovative solutions to those challenges, so that we can really address how those students can then learn and progress. I'm really excited about online schools, and I think they represent a huge leap forward in innovation. Not every student will go to an online school, and that's not the intention. But online schools represent something which is very, very interesting, and that is that we can take school environments and we can actually take them outside of the confines of a single building and a single site, and we can make a school structure where the students and the staff are based over a wide, disparate area, but they are connected on a regular basis. They have access to the resources they need, they have access to the individuals that they go to school with online. They run events, they run trips, they run all these normal things that you'd expect schools to have. But online schools offer flexibility, and flexibility that is not found in any other form of traditional schooling where it's site-based. And that means you can take specialist online schools that cater for a very specialist target group of students. Perhaps they're neurodiverse, they have special educational needs or disabilities, or they have some other need. They can be based anywhere and they can be attending the school that's right for them. And that's why I think online schools have an enormous potential. The other area where I think online schools have huge potential is in really driving the best students who are capable of being pushed even further than they currently are in their existing school environment. It may be they feel like they can take additional courses because they want to broaden their interests. It may be they want to drive for higher university ambitions or specific career options which are highly competitive, and they want to take extended project qualifications. They want to do additional projects. They want to do the sorts of things that might in the past only have been available for a tutoring route or through specific schools. And now online schools give those opportunities to a much broader range of students, and I think that is a really interesting prospect. The tutoring industry has always been very innovative and very fast to adapt. I've repeatedly said to people about how in the pandemic, all of the tuition that was going to continue virtually moved online within days and certainly within weeks of the pandemic hitting and lockdown restrictions being put in place, which obviously was not possible in the school system. Tutors and tuition companies tend to be really dynamic and responsive to their clients, to parents, and also to organizations who increasingly they are working with. So one of the things that I think is going to change is, as a result of that continuous innovation, tuition companies are going to become even more present in the lives of most students. We are very far away from the days when tuition used to be a preserve only of the very rich. The other thing that's changing in the education sector is that tuition companies are now dealing a lot more with those organizations. They're dealing a lot more with schools, and they're dealing a lot more with local authorities or government bodies of some description. That's happened in the UK. It's also happening in other places around the world now. Now, this is really interesting because it also means that schools and government bodies of various descriptions have had experience working with tuition companies, seeing how they can be innovative and flexible in designing solutions and delivering effective solutions to what have previously been very tricky problems. Technology is a key enabler within the education sector. For a long time, lots of education has been completely averse to technology. And for many years, most parts of the world, education has proceeded without much technical input because providing devices to all students has, for most countries and for most places, been an unachievable goal. And that's understandable. So historically, we don't have huge mines of educational data that's been digitized. Not that much of the day-to-day work that students have done has been digitized in past years. The COVID-19 pandemic made this shift to a great extent. So what we've seen a lot more of now is that actually things are being done online or where the educational content is being generated in a digital format. Students are working in a digital format, and this gives us capabilities and opportunities that have not been available before, where all of the work is being completed in textbooks or in exercise books. So this means that we now have more educational data, which is going to be a very useful thing in the future, especially when it comes to ways in which we can utilize AI. The other thing that technology is incredibly important for is it's important to connect people. Tutors, online schools, and even traditional schools increasingly now are using technology to enable people to be connected when, for whatever reason, they can't be present on the same site. Now, this started a while ago, but it's accelerated enormously during the pandemic and afterwards. We increasingly see now that there's been a permanent shift to online tuition, which is often more affordable, often more effective, and often more convenient for both clients and for individual tutors as well alike. What we're also seeing though, is we're seeing that this online delivery can be coupled with use of online resources and online systems which can effectively help to target the education on the gaps, knowledge gaps or skills gaps that students have. And that's where we see the real potential to make great progress. It was really lovely to be here at the Pencil Spaces Tutoring Roundtables, and thank you very much for inviting me.